Well, the world has still gone nutty, buddy, even downright cruddy, buddy. Wish I missed the past, buddy, but there's still Buddycast. No, don't be naughty, go meet everybody here on Buddycast.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the founder and host of Buddycast, Nick Sorensen.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of everybody's favorite show, Buddycast. I'm your host, Nick Sorensen. Joining me today is a new buddy of mine. I've seen him on YouTube. I've seen him on Facebook, a whole bunch of sorts of social media sites. My buddy, Larry Lawton. How you doing today, Larry?
Very good. Thank you for having me, Nick. I loved your opening song. It made me smile.
I was about to ask about that. What you thought about it?
Yeah, I like it. I don't like anything dull. So let's put it that way. So we'll let your audience know anything you want, and or you can. I'll answer. I'm an open book. I told you, so you can ask away.
Awesome, Larry. How did you create your brand? How did you create all this social media? Like, what inspired you to go down this path?
Well, what inspired me to go down the path, I did TV when I got out of prison, which was 2007. It was August 24th. And when I got out of prison, I did a lot of TV, radio. People wanted to know when a robbery happened, how they did it, what about the prison reform, police abuse started going crazy, how do they treat you in other places. So I had a background a little bit in TV. I had my own radio show and then a local TV show I had. So from there, I just did my stuff, but I developed a program called the Reality Check program, and that's what I focused on. Well, what happened after that, I get called in 2019. This is funny because with YouTube, I barely knew what YouTube was. When I say barely, I mean, I thought YouTube was to fix your glasses or, how to varnish a door or something, I really had no idea the reach and stuff of that nature, where I wasn't looking for it. But I get a phone call from Vanity Fair. Vanity Fair said, hey, listen, we'd like to fly you to New York. We want you to review this video of heists and just give your take on it. And I said, we're not going to pay you, but if you get X amount of views, which I think it was 150 to 180,000, we're going to offer you a contract to go once a month up to New York, and you go back and forth. We'll fly in. So I said, okay. They paid the expenses, the whole work. So they fly me up there. I do this video in November. Oh, I think it was late October, November. Yeah, late October. And it's going to air in November, the beginning of November. So I go up there, had fun, did two videos actually. And actually I was very impressed because the 24th floor of the Freedom Tower, which is the old World Trade Center, Freedom Tower, is all studios owned by Con-Nest Travel, which is the parent company of Vanity Fair. Well, I go up there, do this video. I come back, didn't think much of it. I watch the launch date, and it's going crazy. So within the time frame they asked me to get 150 to 180, it had 1 million views in 30 days. And I'm waiting for the call. Hey, we're going to do this. And my friends in the industry are saying, Larry, they're going to offer you this. They're going to do this. I'm sitting there, and believe it or not, Nick, they ghosted me. I'm not hearing anything from anybody. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This can't be. This is not right. All of this can't be. So I'm like, excuse me, but I said, this can't be. So I ended up going from there. I started researching. I went on, and now people are contacting me, Nick. They're contacting me from all over saying, hey, Larry, you do anything? You're on stuff. I'm reading comments. This thing's crazy. I'm a workaholic, Nick. So I go in and I literally dive deep into what I'm doing. So as I dive deep, I start a YouTube channel. Okay. Well, that kicks off. People are jumping, but I came up with something different. I said, what am I going to do different? I have a book that came out again called Gangster Redemption. It's a bestseller. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to narrate my book. Not read it, narrate it. Put it on YouTube. I started doing that. It goes nuts. In fact, that playlist for 2020, I think it's 2020, during the pandemic, it was the #1 playlist, I think, in YouTube. It was massive. And I don't know what's going on, but I mean, literally going crazy. I kind of forget about what happened, pissed about it, but forget about it. I'm not a person that, really dwells on much. I ended up, at this point, I got about 300, 400,000 subscribers. And this is 4 months later. And like, whoa, things are coming, deals, this. I get an email from Vanity Fair saying, hey, could you please sign the second release for the video? I was taken aback, Nick, saying, what are you kidding me? Sign something? They didn't even give me a bottle of scotch. Now at this point, after 4 months, I think the video had 3 million views or some crazy number. To this date, it's got 11.5, I think, million. It's one of their top videos, but I ended up being calm. I got on LinkedIn. I didn't know what that was either. I remember, I'm not a computer guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I find out LinkedIn, they said that's where you get jobs, you can find people. I pay for that service where you can get anything. And I ended up finding the COO, the CEO, CFO of Connest Travel and Vanity Fair. So that's the parent company and Vanity Fair. I reply to this guy and I CC 20-something, the highest people, operations manager, everything in there. And I said, nice email. I said, not only do you not have any permission to use any of my likenesses or any of my videos that I did not put a release on already, you're an unprofessional company. You offered me this. You said this. You still owe me $491 in expenses. Really didn't. That was the liquor bill, and you usually don't get paid for booze that I was in New York with. But I said it anyway, and I forgot about it. About 4 days later, this quick, my secretary says, hey, Larry, we got a check for $491. What is this? I started, what? She goes, yeah. Oh, they paid the $491. So then I take the thing, don't remember. Another 2 days later, I get a phone call. My secretary said, there's a guy on the phone. He says he's this. And I remembered his name from researching them all. It was the COO, I think it was, of Connest Travel, the parent company. I said, Pat, yeah, I want to talk to this guy. And he gets on the phone. He says, Mr. Lawton, he goes, first of all, I want to congratulate you. You are blowing up. You've got a great channel. You're doing stuff. And I want to apologize for Vanity Fair's mishaps. He goes, 10 people will let go. Now, obviously, I don't want people to get, but they didn't do their job. It's not on me. And he goes, and I hope we do, maybe we can do business in the future. He goes, and there's no hard feelings. He goes, sometimes, people just keep going and it doesn't get to the right people. I said, that's true. But, you put a guy who has no idea what's going on, you offer this. And he goes, I know the whole story. He knew the whole story. And we ended up on a nice way, haven't did anything with them, but it was nice. It was like, I can't believe the COO called me of a Connest, which owns all the magazines, Vanity Fair and Robert, all of them. So I end up keep going, and I hit 1 million subscribers in about a year or something. Did GTA videos, do gaming stuff, do everything. And it's amazing to me that people still want to hear from an old guy. Nick, I'll be 62 in a couple of weeks.
Ooh.
And people still want to hear from me. And I think that is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at that, Nick, and say, why do people want to hear from me? Yes, I have a unique story. Yes, overcoming stuff, second chances, being positive. but I think even more than that, it's just tell the truth and don't give a fuck. I mean, excuse me, I don't know if I'm allowed to do that, say that word.
Yeah, if we could keep it buddy, like, you know.
I will keep it buddy like, of course, but I like that concept here, buddy. I will always tell it like it is. Mm-hmm. Good, bad, indifference. I don't judge people. I don't, there's all the things that people do. I don't. I'm no better than anybody else, no worse. I made bad choices. I paid my debt to society. I believe in reform. I believe in prison reform, criminal justice reform, police reform. And we need all those things. It's not like I'm not one of these crazies. No, defund the police. They should have said reallocate how the funds are spent, and then people would have got it. But we need the police. I often tell people, if your house is robbed, do you call 411 or 911? Mm-hmm. People don't even know what 411 is as young kids, but 911 is who you call. And I look at that in that way, and I'm never going to stop, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is how I ended up starting, really getting into YouTube. Still learning. I mean, every day, I'm a research nut. At this point, we got almost 1.5 million on YouTube. We're going through, I call it growing pains right now, because we're finding different things. To really jump to a roof, you have to do different things and see what clicks, because you end up, I think I'm one of the biggest criminal justice criminal guys, with ex-prisoners, we want to call it, that do stuff. And I want to do some things that are a little bit different to make it bigger. And I think I can do that. So that is where I'm at this point. And I think it'll work. I really do. And so now I'm at that point where I do love doing interviews like with guys like yourself. And I love the concept. And I looked at Buddycast and stuff like that. So come on in. And so stuff like this, somebody at the door, my partner. Mm-hmm. Hold on one sec. I'm sorry.
Take it down.
I just had a key. I do that. So that is why I like to do the shows like yours, or shows like, meeting all these people. I was just sent, a bunch of stuff to in California and coming back there. So I love it because I'm a workaholic. Mm-hmm. I love to stay up late, get my 4 or 5 hours sleep, and I'm back at it. And I'm not listen, I don't go out partying like I used to. Let me just put it that way, but I enjoy what I do now.
Love it. How do you create your content when it comes to social media? Like how do you create the ideas?
Well, most of my ideas, and even the guys that work with me, are, first of all, I get asked a lot of questions, and believe it or not, I have a pretty active Discord. And I mean, we have things, suggestions for videos. We have suggestions for shorts. The videos I make, we cut up. I say cut up. We repurpose the content to keep all of our social media vibrant. Obviously, as you can tell, we're all over the place. So, mm-hmm. And Facebook just jumping off. All these places are jumping off. And, there's that fine line of how much do you do there when you take away from this. We're going to start concentrating on more, and then more on what we do with the cigar as a legacy project, books, stuff of that nature. And most of it's going to be for, I don't promote a lot of stuff, as you see. So when I do something, I do it because I care about it.
Mm-hmm. How important do you think social media is today? How important do you think these channels like YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, everything's so rapidly growing today? What's your take on that?
I did an informal survey, but nobody under 50 has cable. So that's done. You might as well mail it in for cable. If you have cable, you're one of very few. That's why they don't have the funds to do much. I think the shorts are too much quick scroll and attention span is short. In other words, I have a more loyal audience than people who just have these TikToks and these 1 minute scrolls. How do you connect with people in 30 seconds, 60, where my content could be 18 minutes, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, you get a little bit deeper into something or a topic. So you end up having more loyal people. And I see that all over. And I don't know, obviously it's here to stay, but at what point, a lot of these platforms are being rough on us for the stupidest stuff. They're doing it where you're seeing a lot of creators go to Rumble. You're seeing a lot of creators go to different platforms so they can have a voice that's not, I won't say censored, but, I don't believe in the cancel culture. Personally, I don't care about it because the only one who could cancel me is me. My fans say it all the time. I be you and you'll never get canceled because I don't have hate in me anyway. So I know who I am and they know who I am. People who get canceled are just pieces of garbage. You know what I mean? Like whether it's against race or anything, sex, race, I could care less what people do, and people know that. So to cancel me is what? What are you going to say? Oh, I don't want to watch. Don't watch me. There's enough people who will watch you. And I try to tell that to people on this platform, but social media is not going anywhere. If you're a business today and you're not on a platform that you can get million eyes, what does the Super Bowl pay for, ads? Mr. Beast, and we all know who he is, gets Super Bowl numbers on every video. He's amazing. I studied that guy. And the guy made 52 million profit last year. And his company's worth 1.1 billion as a YouTuber. So, he spends 8 million a month. So his numbers are just crazy. So if you follow him too much, you get bogged down with the numbers, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Because he is the algorithm. I'm looking for the algorithm. He is the algorithm. So
awesome. Do you ever collaborate with other YouTube stars or other
Oh, absolutely. Matter of fact, a kid named Kevin who has a YouTube channel with 5.8 million. I'm kind of one of his mentors for an older guy. I think I'm one of the oldest YouTubers with as big of a channel I have, and even podcasts, because you don't get him at my age doing this kind of stuff. But he's got 5.8, and we'll collaborate anytime I want. A couple of other YouTubers as well, Jessica, Kent, and any one of them. I'm open to collaborate with small and big, number one. And because when I was coming up, a lot of the bigger channels, the Kevins and millions, they gave me that shot. Because the one thing about YouTube and all of these platforms, there's enough room for all of us. I don't care who you are, there's enough room. There's 7 billion people on this planet. I think 4 billion or so close 4 billion have YouTube and social media, connections. Come on. I mean, what is it going to hurt me to help somebody else, whatever they, and I'm willing to talk and open up to, and do collaborations with anybody because one, you're helping people. Everybody helps everybody. And if we become a cocoon and want to do it ourselves, one, the fans, if you want to call them the fans, or the people that follow us, will get tired and they're going to look for people. But when I put up a video and I did a GTA with Kevin, I loved it, man. He had people raining money down on me and protecting me because you think I know how to play this game? I don't know how to play a video game. I'm lucky I can run the controller. So, I mean, I didn't have video games when I grew up. I'm 62 in 2 weeks. So what am I going to, it's crazy to me to think I'm doing this. I need to put my grandkid over here to do this stuff. But it's fun. But
press any key to continue. There's no any key on here. What do you mean?
Oh, it's just, I'm sitting there and then you don't have time when you're, a creator and you're always thinking content and staying relevant because you got to stay relevant. Every creator has to stay relevant. Otherwise, obviously, I have a whole bunch of videos coming out about bad stuff. People, different things we try. As you saw, we did a video with Match killer with the weapon. Did you see that fun video?
Hmm.
It was fun because they had a Tabasco sauce, and they had 5 people up here, five ladies. What woman used Tabasco sauce to kill her husband? Then they had a bag of rice. Then they had a bat. And they had some other things, and I go, this is crazy. But we start playing the game, you know, and so people are saying, man, I love that. Add a little more of this. And believe me, feedback is important. I listen to people. I like the way you have your setup with the Buddycast. So I'm sure people suggested things, and whether it's friends or people, you didn't come up with everything yourself.
Oh gosh, no. I came up. My thing started during the pandemic. You know how that time was.
Same with me.
Like it really. Like I used to work for a news industry, and I saw the behind the scenes stuff. Like I saw the whole, you just post a story about like the COVID numbers online, and you get 10 people who write back to you and tell you to go do unbuddy like things to yourself, things like that. So I'm like, this world just needs that feel good story of like, why does the like street vendor who's very well known in my city, something like that, still go out today and still do what he does, even though he hasn't had a customer in, 10 weeks or so? Why does he still believe and hope that one day everything's going to get back to normal? Or, like talking to actors, like, tell me about your glory days. Tell me, it really just was intended to start off as like this small neighborhood podcast.
And look what happens. It blows up the way you do. And
bingo.
I love what you do, because to me, I always liked, and I used to say, I'm sick and tired of the negativity in the news. Nobody leaves the news happy. It's holy shit, what's going on? War, disease, or what do they call it? The pandemic and who Bernie Madoff or whatever it is. Let's get some positive stuff, a la my story, people's stories. And I saw some of them. I go, this is fun. This will be fun. I mean,
exactly. And that's what I intended to be. It's not like news, like hard cracking, like, hey, how much did you spend last year? Da, 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 da. It's that's the fun. Why do you love doing what you do? Why do you love making YouTube videos? Why do you love, what wakes you up every morning with that idea of, I got a good idea for a video today,
Yeah. I mean, I do that, and it's amazing. The more I talk to people, and I'm a communicator, I'm a person who loves to connect with people. The more, and I listen a lot, I'll listen to friends and take some stuff, put it in here, throw it out. But matter of fact, about the NFT scandal in the internet with all the celebrities and the influencers who jumped on the NFT bandwagon with Bitcoin and all that crap. Not Bitcoin, but in crypto. Well, the NFT scandal was approached to me, and how much you could do this. And I literally went to my Discord, and I have an active Discord, and I went to a couple other platforms. People said, don't do it. We don't know enough. These are people all over. And I took the collective number, and I said, I'm going to wait and see what happens. Sure enough, boy, was that a right move. Logan Paul, 20 million. He's getting sued for $3 million. This one's getting sued. Every single NFT, every single one went bust. Logan Paul paid $600,000 for an NFT. It's worth $10.
Sheesh.
It just came out. That was out. And then he pumps it to his fan base, and now he's being sued. I think $2 million, or he already agreed to pay $1.8 million. So obviously, I listen. I'm not gonna, stupid stuff. Don't say this or whatever. But if it's something like when I come out with a new product, I even tested the cigar. People know I've been smoking cigars for 40 plus years. So it's like a product I believe in. And actually a study came out, and it's a true study, and I can send it to you. Did you know if you never smoked cigarettes, anything, never smoked any, and then you smoke cigars, you have a longer lifespan than a person who never smoked anything? So if you never smoked anything, and I smoked only cigars, which I never smoked cigarettes, I have a longer lifespan than you. That's a government study. They didn't even like it, and it just came out last year. And it's an important study because obviously doctors chimed in. Why? Because it's a stress reliever, and people, you can relax in the heart and a whole bunch of stuff. But I didn't know all that until I'm in this space now. And then I love to work with people. So, and I think when you go to a cigar event or you go places, people see you with a cigar, you give them a box of cigars, you talk to people, and it's a great thing. And our product is great too, which I'll show too on here. But it's just something that I like. That's why I liked your podcast, just because it was positive. And the more we do that, I think the better we'll be.
Absolutely. One thing I want to add, we touched a little bit on the media here and there. The one thing I want to ask
Did you say weed?
No, we talked about the media.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah. So we talked about the media here a little bit. From your own perspective, I know kind of like me with dwarfism, there's a lot that the media kind of gets wrong, gets right, like you have reality TV, but how much of that is reality?
Not much, I can tell you that. I've done it.
Exactly. How much of that did you intend to say this, but then they twisted it around and made you sound like you're from your own story, from your perspective, with all the media, like all the TV shows and movies that are out there about like prison life, things like that, which ones get it right and which ones can you tell are just absolute baloney or something like that, like off the top of your head?
Yeah, off the top of my head, the best series I've seen done, and they're called docuseries on stuff, is probably by like 60 minutes. They delve deep. They spend the money for research. They do stuff like that. A lot of the networks or the reality TV. First of all, you said it right. Reality is not the right word. I mean, it's semi-scripted. They call it reality to get around some of the laws now and the strikes and everything else. That they don't have writers. That they just come up with something but it's kind of scripted. Well, I'll say that again. Where are you going to go? Oh, we're going to get to this. Listen, I know the producers and stuff of storage. Pawn storage wars. Number one, that's where they go to a storage unit and they find something in it. They all bid on it. It's all staged. Everything's staged. Pawn stars in Vegas, all staged. Come in with this. They put somebody in. So all of that, you think, oh, look at that. This is cool. I'd love to see. I'd take my people. It's all staged. I mean, and then they make the characters out of it, whether it's a Chumley on that show or this one. And when you know that, you just step back and you say to yourself, okay, as far as prisons, you don't see reality. Okay, here's one. There's a show called 60 Days In. Do you think people would act, crazy or whatever, that like they normally, when they know there's a camera on them?
Mm-mm.
I mean, there's a camera. There's a guy's in there. There's cameras there. You see the shots. You can tell it's not all from a corner camera. So what do you think? And they give these people time off. Listen, if that was me in there, I'd probably stab half those people. But, I mean, it's just something that people, listen, Undercover Boss. You don't think the story of, we're doing this for a TV show. The guy looks terrible in a getup that everybody doesn't know. And if you don't know, then you're pretty much a moron. And, that you're perfect for whatever TV show they're watching. And I like some of them. Don't get me wrong. They feel good. Like you said, they usually take care of these people at the end of the show, which I like. And I'll sit and watch that. But all TV is really dying, and it's going to die. The only thing that's going to keep actual networks going is live sports. That's the only thing. So until that happens, I mean, it's going to happen quicker. I just read a great article. Mr. Beast was talking about, they think within 5 years is pretty much almost nil. And then within 10 years, you won't even see cable come, because they're all trying to go streaming now, and they're behind the 8 ball. See, they totally missed the boat. You didn't. I didn't. We saw an opportunity. We saw the pandemic. We knew people were going to be in front of a screen, and we took shots. Networks just thought they were the big shits, but who's paying for commercials? They missed the boat. Our demographics, my show, I'm sure your show, is a younger demographic. Who's going to watch, the game show network? My mother, I take care of her. She's 90. Now, is she spending money? No. I don't even watch cable at all. Nothing. I watch YouTube. I watch streaming services, maybe a Netflix. and the networks really, or the cable channels. That's why they're all being combined. You saw Paramount buy a bunch of them, and they're all trying to combine to go onto one platform. I think that's even going to go deeper, and I think the networks, the ones that last, the ABC, CBS, the big need with the deep pockets and the political connections and everything else, are the ones that are going to suck up everybody. And then it's going to be like everything else. It's going to be the Walmarts, the Targets, and the same thing with the TV industry. And they know it. It's funny. I talked to a executive producer who started LA Live. I was on that show. He started the show and he said, Larry, he goes, what the problem is now, and he was on my show too. He says, these executives on these cable networks are just hanging on, and they don't want to make a bad decision, because if they get a show and it just doesn't happen to go, they're fired. They know it. So they'd rather make no decision and keep it going as long as they can hold on to their paychecks. So nobody's out there being risk takers like the people on YouTube. YouTube, obviously, it is the biggest platform in the world right now. And obviously, Facebook's trying to do everything. They're opening up this. They bought Instagram. I mean, they're all competing. The big boys are competing, same in our space. And obviously, YouTube is not going anywhere. It's the biggest. And they're owned by Google. I mean, think about that. I mean, you got the biggest search engine in the world where the government actually uses Google servers and stuff. So, I mean, I'm in the right space.
Yes.
So are you,
Yes.
actually.
So, like, what are the TV shows that you will watch? Like, if you ever happen to catch a TV show or even a movie that you go yep, they got it right, or something like that, or yep.
I have not watched I only watch sports. That's the only thing I literally do not watch a show. I mean, I remember when Naked and Afraid come out. I said, put a bunch of ex-cons on that show, and I think you'd have a better show. Because we survivors. I don't think they're thinking outside the box, a lot of shows. Again, I don't watch them. I watch live sports. Now, movies, one of my favorite movies is an old movie. I don't know if you remember it, August Rush.
I know that movie.
That's one of my favorite movies. It's about, the kid with the music, and he had autism, and it was just one of the best movies ever. It was feel good. He got home, and I loved it. To this day, I'll watch certain things like that and enjoy them. So, but it's really crazy. I'm 60. Again, I'll be 62 in 2 weeks. I just think I do not watch a show. I don't watch the news, of course. I mean, that's just on your phone or wherever. I'll watch your show now. I mean, you see something like that because it's feel good. And when I want to watch I don't want to sit through a commercial. Who wants to sit through commercials anymore? Hit the number 5. I mean, YouTube's figuring it out. They're making you watch it. Even when you have to sit through a commercial, it's a 20-second commercial, 30, not 3 minutes that I'm sitting here watching a Tide commercial or some crap that I could care less about. So TV's done. So if you have a show, you bet money that show is going to come. If it's a successful show, it's going to come over. And if they don't attract the younger audience, they're done too.
Speaking of audience interactions, what are some tell us about fan interactions you've had. Tell us about moments, about fan interactions that you've had, moments where some of your favorites.
Well, one time it was weird because I was going on a trip to New York, and I had to take a flight from Melbourne Airport to Atlanta, from Atlanta to Tennessee, from Tennessee to Long Island, New York, and I was getting off to go to Fire Island. Every single stop, and even on the plane, somebody, you're that YouTuber with the crime. How do I protect my house? I was stopped, and it was funny because I stopped for food, and I'll never forget this, in the airport in Tennessee, in the middle of nowhere. And I went to get breakfast. It was early flights, and it was about 10:30. And the waitress kept looking at me. I'm thinking, does she not like me? She goes, I hate to ask you, can I get your picture? Yeah, I watch you all the time. I feel bad coming. I said, no, because listen, I'm humble of that. I mean, I do. At first, I used to worry that because of my old background, being a mobster, who's going to try to kill me? I mean, but I have a very good reputation, so that pretty much goes out the window. And being recognized like that, the worst thing that happened to me, I'll tell you, that was bad as a lot of fans, is my house was swatted, and that was scary because that happened at 1:40 in the morning. I am lucky that I was putting together my bar. I was in here alone putting together my bar, and I heard Larry Lawton come out or something. I'm just thinking, I'm in this office. I'm thinking, is the computer on? No, I get up. It's 1:40. I open the door and lights hit me. Lasers are on my chest. Get down. They shut down my whole street from each corner. I got the police reports. I have the actual voice of what happened. And somebody said that they had my mom and I hostage. They wanted $10,000 or they're going to kill one of us. And they gave him 30 minutes. And he had a Glock. He said, and he named the gun and a bomb. And he wasn't from the area, but he wandered through and he happened to come in here. And obviously they don't know what's going on. So the SWAT team and they had dogs around my house, the cops I'm talking. And I'm getting lasers and they don't know who I am, the cops. And they got me walking out, getting on my knees. I'm freaking out now. Thinking, and the funny thing, too, Nick, was I had my cell phone in my hand. Could you imagine they think that's a gun? Listen, and I actually know the police chief, and I went there the next day. First of all, what happened, they put me in handcuffs. Now I'm going crazy. I can't be in handcuffs. I'm an ex-con. It drives me nuts.
The PTSD and everything.
And they don't know what to do. And an unmarked car, lights comes flying down a block. And it happened to be the second in command, who I knew very well as well. And he jumped out. I go, get him out of those cuffs. Get him out of those cuffs. And he said, I apologize. When he told me, that's protocol. So, it's not apologize, but I just wanted to tape. And he said, Larry, tomorrow you go see Chief. He's going to want to talk to you. I can guarantee you that. And sure enough, he called me before I called him. And I said, listen, is Chief Moya? And he said, I said, listen, I see. He goes, yeah, come on. And I knew I called because I know you must have had a bad night. Bad night. I have a 90-year-old mother in there, they're going through the house and stuff. And he gave me the tape. And the reason I wanted the tape to maybe if I could recognize a voice of who did this. And what I did find out about swatting is if they do it at the time they did it to me, it's a higher level charge because of, listen, if I was sleeping and I heard someone come in to break in this house, I'm coming up swinging and I have a bat right there. You get shot. It's and then they take your information and they give it to the FBI, That's the roughest incident that happened. And the fun ones are, they want it, they like a video. I always ask them, how did they find me? How did you know about my channel? Or it came up on YouTube, or a friend told me, or something like that. And again, it's never going to be traditional TV, even though I still do traditional TV. I'll do a news show about a robbery when Kim Kardashian got robbed or something like that. But even for the most part, if I have to do too much for those, it's not even work. Because again, I'd rather go on Kevin's channel. He gets a lot more views than any news organization. So how about Mr. Beast? I'd love to go on his channel. I'd be at 5 million subscribers tomorrow.
I'd love Mr. Beast to be on this channel,
Oh my God. I did hear how such positive, and he does that too. He goes on, nobody's bigger than him, so it has to be little in him, but he doesn't, and he gives advice. He tells people what to do, how to do it. Listen, that kid is not a freak. That kid is not a person who just got lucky.
No, he planned
that is hard work. 12 years old he started. He's 26, and they've done testing on everything. So it just goes to show you that they know what they're doing. And now, of course, he's got the funding to hire the best of the best. He's really a network, if you know what I mean, Nick. He's a network. That kid is literally a network. He's got 100 acres in North Carolina, 100 acres with a studio bigger than any Paramount studio has. He spends $8 million a month making videos and salaries. And the guy is literally a production company.
Literally. And you hit the nail on the head saying he doesn't just come up with it. Like, I truly believe, he does the research. He doesn't just say, like, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to have like a basketball contest.
And I'm going to give out 100. Not at all. There's a lot of research, statistical data that goes into his stuff that they don't leave. And listen, you don't go to almost 200 million subscribers. I looked at one of his videos the other day in 20 hours. He had 61 million views, maybe 16 hours. 61 million views. The Super Bowl is the biggest game on TV, and he gets that on every video. Hundreds of men. He's got videos of 300 million. They say he's going to be the first one to have 1 billion views. Think of what I just said, 1 billion. I don't know anybody. I mean, obviously, a lot of people still don't know him. That's what he said. And it boggled my mind because I'm in this space. Obviously, anybody who's on YouTube knows who he is. But my partner didn't know him until I told him. And now, of course, he knows. And I've had older guys come here and they go, wow, this is amazing. Not just the amount of money, how he does them. They're quick. They're not boring, and he doesn't do them long, 13 minutes, 18 minutes, 14 minutes, whatever it takes. And I learned that from him. Obviously, in the beginning, they tell you the algorithm should be this and that. And there's standard things you should do is interact with your fans and stuff. And I do that a lot. So, you can only do them. I'm not Jimmy Donaldson. I'm not 26. But, it's amazing what he's done.
Absolutely. One thing I wanted to ask you was, going on to a new subject, I wanted to ask you about your mentorship, like your mentoring program. Tell me about that. Like, tell me what you do with that.
Oh, you mean like for kids or young
yeah.
Kids? Yeah. When I got out of prison, I started the reality check program because a parent came to me and says, Larry, I need a favor. I said, what do you want to break somebody's legs? He goes, no. I caught my son smoking weed. And he told him, F you, Dad, where have you ever been? Like, if I ever said that to my father, I would have got knocked from here to tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And then when I got up, I'd get knocked again just for doing that. So I talked to the kid, and he changed. The kid changed. And it was amazing because I saw him change. And I just, a lot of what I've done was luck, if you want to call it that, or being in the right place at the right time. Anybody who gets big or successful will tell you there has to be some kind of luck. Your channel here, we both started during COVID. We had a captive audience, if you want to call it that. Mm-hmm. So what has happened is, so he told me, and I saw him change, and I happen to have pictures from prison. I happen to, of me, that I don't know why I sent out when I was in prison. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the pictures. So I did a lot of things that just, I don't know why, but it happened. And I put it together when I spoke to this kid, and you watched his wheels turning. He went from a badass big kid, but I'm a pretty mean looking guy. I can be intimidating. And you watched his whole demeanor change. And I don't curse with these kids. I said 2 curse words. You told your father where the F he's been. I'm going to tell you where the F I just came from. That's it. Of course, not using the word F, but yeah. And once I started showing him pictures, and from there, I actually was called by the court system here by a lady, Jean Bandis. She says, Mr. Lawton. I said, yeah. She goes, I'm Jean. I work with the Judge Morgan Ryman at the time, and says, she'd like to see you. I says, listen, I got a law degree. You got a warrant? She goes, no. And I said, well, then I ain't seeing anybody. You got a subpoena? I'm not seeing no judge. I don't want to go to the courthouse. I said, and I'm not doing anything wrong. So if you have something legal, come to me. No, she's telling me. I go, what do you mean no? She goes, The judge is the head of the juvenile division in Seminole and Brevard, actually. And she wants to know what you do. And she hears you talk to people because people give me $100 to talk to them, to their kids. I'm still cautious, I'm fresh out of prison. And I ended up not even knowing how to work a computer, but my nephew, who's since passed too, actually showed me how to put a PowerPoint together. So I put a PowerPoint, 10 slides or something like that. And I just talked about what I talked to the kid about. This is a Friday. Great. I leave. Would you like to stay for the rest of the meeting? No, I'm in the back of a courtroom. I want out of there. I literally felt nervous. And I get a call. This was a Friday. I get a call Monday morning. And Gene Badge says, Mr. Lawton, yeah, I got to give you a heads up. The judge sentenced 2 kids to your program. What program? I mean, there's no actual program. I'm just telling you what I talk about. From there, I ended up developing. Right now, we are used in the court system. We are used in the government. We're the #1 program. I developed that 4-part program. It's not just talking. It's not just mentoring. It's education while mentoring. Because here's the thing, Nick. I never talk down to a kid. I don't care how old they are. I bring myself down to their level and then bring them up. And that's by acceptance. They can accept you for who you are, your bad stuff, your crimes, and then you bring them up, tell them how stupid you were. You never glorify it, but you have to tell them the great stuff because they get excited. And then when you tell them you lost everything and you were abused and everything that happened to you, you watched it, brains change. And then you tell them what prison is really like. It's not what you see on TV. It's worse. And then obviously the 4th part of my program is avoiding and dissolving bad associations. Because everybody has bad associations. We as adults are a little bit better because we can ignore stuff. We can be nice and still not, you're not going to go hang out with the block bully. So when I put the program together, I actually had the lieutenant governor of the state of Florida who started the Youth and Child Family Services said, Lieutenant Governor, to this day he's a friend. His name is Jeff Cotcamp. He's now, I think, congressman, but he was the lieutenant governor of Florida. And he said to me, Larry, and he was on a show with me. Him, a judge, and myself went on a Fox News, I think it was, show. And he actually said, he goes, this is the best program I've ever seen. He goes, this should be in every county in Florida. He goes, and we need, and he actually said something on the show that blew me away. I always kept looking at the prison system like, hey, listen, look what we're saving. We're going to save $28,000 a year per inmate and all this if they don't go to prison. He goes, Larry, what you're missing, and he said this on air, he goes, how about the person you keep out of prison? He becomes a productive member of society. He's now renting a building. He's now buying gas. He's now buying groceries. He's getting insurance. He becomes a part of the community and a part of paying. And so he's an economic boom instead of a bust. And I never thought of it like that. And I still want the first thing, just keep him out of prison. Because now there's other problems we know about. Putting their foot on people's necks, giving them fines for these corporations to make money. Poor kid is 20 years old. He gets fined $20,000, does a few years in jail. He gets out, he's got to pay that. Where the corporation already wrote it off and everything else, and they got their breaks and everything. But give the money to and then this kid is never going to get out of debt. And not only is he not going to get out of debt, he's going to think of ways to circumvent the system, work off the books. You almost make him a criminal, and it's not a smart play.
Mm-mm. So tell me more about the other things I wanted to ask you about. You mentioned this earlier in your show. You mentioned your podcast and your book. Tell me about those items.
Well, the podcast was an extension of what we do, and getting the numbers that we were top 1% out of 3 million top podcasts, and we're heard in 86 countries, still blows me away, because who in Uzbekistan knows who I am? I have no idea. But the numbers come from Spotify. In fact, Spotify's not our biggest platform. I have 21,000 that actively follow me on Spotify. And they're only 26%. I think it was Apple's the biggest one. iTunes, so that's over 45,000. that actively like follow. So when I put something up and stuff, so being top 1% out of 3 million is pretty good around the world, and that's viewers. It's called the global thing. I think I don't know if I sent it to you, but I'll send it to you. But the podcast is fun because you can really elaborate. It's like this show, you can get on, you can talk to people, and I do crazy things. You know about a crazy thing, and I also do sports and I do politics and a little thing without malice. There's no malice ever on my show with anything. I've had the Orphans. I had Chris Hollyfield, who was with the WWE, is the little boogeyman. I don't know if you know who he is. He's a friend of mine, really good friend of mine. Get him on your show. He's a great guy. His energy. He has a bullying program, and we've become very close friends. And he's come on here, and we talked about wording, and that's why the cancel club. I said, do I call it? Is it a midget? It's little people. But he goes, Larry, I could care less, man. I love you. I love your heart is great. You do things the right people. But so the platform gives me the opportunity to get deeper with fans, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I like that part of it. We're just going to start building. We are just starting. We had a meeting yesterday about building the actual YouTube part of it. The other part is running very well. And then obviously any other products like I do, whether it's a book or something, I don't just do it to do it. I don't mean that a book. I don't mean like even sponsorship deals. I have to do something because something in me. Yes, we all need money. We all know how that works. But you also want to, listen, again, my fans and the people who follow me are very loyal. And I'm not going to tell them bullshit and say, again, the NFT thing, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sponsor that. Because when you start telling people to take their money for something, you better be right about it. I'm not saying delays. I got a book was supposed to come out last month. It's going to come out maybe a month and a half late. That happens because of shipping. That's nothing. I'm talking about something that's, do your own due diligence, I mean, that's a money grab to me. And if you believed in it, that's one thing. Do they really believe in it? And then go to push it and they keep pushing it when they find out it's not. I watch a lot of YouTube, whether it's CoffeeZilla. I don't know if you've heard of him. He does a lot of investigative stuff, and there's a bunch of them out there that do that. And they're fun. I mean, I always say to people, don't F up on YouTube because there's the people out there going to come get you. And, and I believe in that, though, Nick. I think it should be like that. So.
Mm-hmm. And tell us about your book. Tell us about the book. Tell us what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, I have the book called Gangster Redemption. And that's a best-selling book. It's an amazing book. It's my whole life story. Boy, talk about opening up. I wrote it with a 7-time New York Times best-selling author. Now we're 8, best-selling author now. And that came out in 2012, 13, a matter of fact. And it was in Barnes & Noble stores and stuff. But now most things are online or I sell them. People have bought books and they sell them online for $200. I go, whoa, that's what stopped me from that. I said, wait, I'm going to start printing them, sell them for what I sell them for. Matter of fact, I'm going to raise the price because I'm losing almost money because the prices after 10 years, I haven't changed any. And with postage going up, people know about it. So nobody's ever said anything. They say, why? I want to buy your book, but it's $80 online. I said, who's selling it for $80? I went online, forget about looking. And I said, no, I'm going to do it. And that's why I print them. Because I own the book. I never gave it to a publishing house or something. I own it as a best-selling author, and that's pretty good. And I do have a cookbook, a prison cookbook coming out. And that is fun as well because it's not just a cookbook. And it's all prison food, obviously. But it's the stories of how it happened, where I was at, some sad stories, some good stories. So it's more of a feel-good book. And that's, again, what the biggest thing that touched me on your channel. And I follow the channel. I've never been on a live like you. I go on live all the time. Yeah. But like this, I actually like that. And so I really thought it was good to see a positive stuff.
Yes. And you do have a cooking segment on your show too, don't you?
Yes. I've done, 8 episodes or something like that. And they're all going to be recipes in the book. Obviously, they are all of them already. Now I'm just fine tuning it. And so it, to keep going. I'm not a cook. I'm not Gordon Ramsay. I'm not opening a restaurant. I'm not doing any of that. But I enjoy it, and we have fun when we do it. I've done funny episodes with Rude Jude from Sirius XM Radio. He's a fun guy. I do things. The people I'm around, though, whether it's my work here with my partner and the kids, or it's fun. It has to be fun. I'm at that part of my life at this age. If it's not fun, I'm not doing it.
All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
It's not even about the play. I play hard. It's you want to even do the stuff when you are working that you have fun doing. And I don't consider it work. I can't ever see myself retiring. I just can't see it.
One of my favorite sayings, and I've said this on the show a billion times, if you've ever seen the show Cobra Kai, man who works for passion is far richer than man who works for money.
Absolutely. And then it all follows.
Yes.
I mean, and I'm just a bad manager, so I got this nut over here that's going to run stuff. He knows, he's laughing because he knows how we are.
Yes.
As he grabs a cigar. You get one.
So, buddy, I got 3 more questions for you. The first one is, where can we learn more about you? For all buddies who are meeting you for the first time, where can we learn more about you?
Sure. There's a couple of sites. Obviously, just Google Larry Lawton. You'll see a lot. Google the Crooked Diamond. I mean, not only do we have a premium cigar that obviously a very reasonable price for the work that's gone into our cigars, and I partner with the 3rd largest company in the world. So, and that's Oliva Cigar. And they're great partners for us for doing this. And it's just a great smoke. Matter of fact, he's lighting one up, so I'm going to want one. But then Larry Lawton, or the Reality Check program, where you can look at the program I have and the books and everything else on that. So those 3 spots, the YouTube channel. I mean, I'd love to mention that the Real Deal with Larry Lawton podcast YouTube channel. We never say it, and I haven't did anything with it. We are now. Even when I don't get monetized, you know what? We're building that for the right reasons, because we're getting great guests. And obviously, the bigger you get, the more guests you can get and stuff of that nature. And I enjoy it, again, because of the longer format, because you get to delve into stuff. And we laugh, and we're going to do a podcast today about, sports. And people love that and make predictions. And we don't know what the hell we're doing, but we're going to have fun with it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So if they mention that, and if they put that anywhere, it's the Real Deal with Larry Lawton podcast, YouTube podcast. And then Crooked Diamond is and I consider the Crooked Diamond my legacy thing. It's not into it and sell it to General Cigar, because they'll see a likeness and they'll, cheapen it and make it in and do it. Listen, we got good people who work, we have fun. Got a great company behind it, making it and growing. And there's so much that goes into it. People have no idea. And cigar smokers do, but we want to get more and more people. And again, finding out it's not as bad as people, oh my God, you're going to die. Listen, cigarettes is a different animal. In fact, the state of Florida banned all smoking in state park, except for cigars. Biodegradable, everything. There's nothing in it. There's no chemicals in it. There's nothing that's going to get into the soils or anything of that nature. There's no, nothing like that. No man-made chemicals. So obviously, the Crooked Diamond is my legacy. Meaning, I want that to be around a long time after I'm gone. And listen, I'm not morbid, Nick, but I got 20 years left. I'll take 20, healthy. And I'm 62. Or what do you live? 82. And listen, my mom's 90. She was, just diagnosed with dementia, and I take care of her. I moved back here to do that, and I'll never leave her. So I reassure her every day for that. Mm-hmm. So, but legacies.
Yes. Number 1, please give my best to your mother, please.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I want to ask you is brought to us by my buddy Jonas Kane at #Positivity. He wants to know, in your own words, what does it mean to be someone's buddy?
Listen, I come from the mob life, and I think in life, a lot of people have a lot of associates. associates are great, but then you have a close buddy group, and I'll say to Sam, "Hey, buddy, what's up?" I actually do that word, right? Is that true, Sam? I just said to you, "Hey, buddy," and it's weird because the word to me is a fun word. It's somebody that you can mess with. They like you. They don't care about your background, that you're a criminal. Well, he's more of a criminal than me, but but you know what I mean? So buddy to me is a person that you could go have beers with, you could help them. If Sam asked me anything, "Hey, listen, Larry, I want to talk to a kid," or you want to, my wife, I'll be there in 2 seconds. It's not even a thought. Buddies are important. I don't know how you come up with that concept. I love it, the Buddycast, because I have never seen anything like it. And I'm sick of seeing negative. Everybody wants to see the car crash. Everybody wants to see the fire and the people die. And that's what news is so depressing. I want to see somebody come on, you tell me about Spider-Man movie coming up. Something like the Spider-Man game. We were just talking about that yesterday for videos. So, I love that kind of stuff. Like I said, August Rush is one of my favorite movies. It's a feel-good movie. So,
And I'll tell you a little background real quick before I ask you what we call the ultimate Buddycast buddy question. Buddycast was inspired by my grandfather, who was my buddy in life. He gave me the name Buddy every time I called him on the phone. "Hey, buddy, how's it going?" Anytime I showed up to a place that he was, like, let's say we went to like a big dinner or something, and I would walk in the room. "Hey guys, come here. I want you to meet my buddy." No matter what, he was that I was his buddy, to the point where I woke him up from an ICU scare. I woke him up basically like, I don't want to say like from a coma, but basically, he had lung cancer because he used to smoke cigarettes.
My sister died of lung cancer. Yeah, it's a bad thing.
He lived on a lung and a half, and one day the good lung collapsed. So that to me is like code red. But I remember seeing him. I said 2 words, "Hey, Papa," and his eyes were wide open from like a dead sleep.
So you'll never forget that, will you?
Never. He was that buddy to me, to the point where literally, like, he wasn't just that buddy to me. He was that buddy to everyone. He was the type of person that you would go to a party, and let's say you were kind of like, quote unquote, the outcast at the party, like you were the guy, maybe you didn't know that many people there, but you knew the host. So that's why you came. You're sitting in the corner kind of like thinking like, 5 more minutes and then I'll find an excuse to go home. Like, I got to feed the cat that I don't even own or something like that,
That's amazing you decided to, do that. And I love it. How old are you? Can I ask that?
I'm 28.
28, young kids. I love you guys. Man, I'm getting old. But it's good that you found something that you could do that you could actually, obviously pay tribute to. And I love that fact. My parents stuck by me through prisons and everything else. And, I often tell kids, there's only 2 people in this world don't want anything from you. And that's your mom and dad. And they only want to be better. Listen, they might not have had anything. They don't know how to raise us, because we all know we're screw-ups. I'm a screw-up and been a screw-up my whole life in its own way. But if you could affect some people along the way, try to do that. And if you find people who don't want to do that, run from them. Don't walk. Because they're nothing but leech of society. I'm not saying don't have fun. You got to love yourself. You got to have fun. You do everything right. But take the time to educate somebody, because the only thing I have over you or anybody younger is experience.
Exactly.
That's it. I definitely don't know more about tech. I know a lot about tech, but I'll talk to my partner. I know more than him, but I don't know more than you or your editors and people. So I'd be an idiot not to learn from you. But then you'd be an idiot not to learn from my experience in life and dealing with people or choice making down the line. Because what I say to everybody, and I'll say it to all your audience, when you're 20, you think you know it all. When you hit 30, you look back and say, man, I was pretty stupid at 20. When you hit 40, you look back and go, damn, I was really stupid at 30, man. I'm learning now. Well, when you hit 50, you say, shit, am I ever going to learn anything? Because I'm still learning. Well, I'm 60. I'll be 62. And at 60, I said, fuck, I mean, I love it. I keep learning. And we change. That's why people evolve. And, one of the sad parts of politics to me is people look at a person who thought one way at 20 and say, well, you said this back then. Well, I was 20. I'm now 50. I hope you say different things because you're not the same person. Life experiences change us and hopefully for the positive. So, let's just respect that. And I will respect a 15-year-old to an 80-year-old or 90, whatever it is. I mean, give me respect as well because, listen, respect goes both ways. Doesn't mean I'm not going to kick the shit out of my kid or grandkid, whatever it is. That's for sure. But when you sit back and think about it, you have to learn from them.
Exactly. I was raised on the mentality of you treat the CEO the same way you treat the janitor.
Absolutely.
But not in the downfall way of like, okay, the CEO is nothing to you. But in the way of when that janitor walks in the morning, you hold the door for that janitor.
You got a point. It's like, I often tell people, follow your local politicians, your local foundation, because what do? They help you. They help you in your community.
Absolutely.
And that's what helps. Obviously, everything's a big picture, but, people get lost in that big picture. How much does the president really affect you? But I can guarantee you the local mayor who puts up a street light on the corner because people got hit by a car affects you a lot more than anybody else.
Exactly. Exactly. The final question I have for you today is what we call the ultimate Buddycast buddy question. You ready for this one?
Hit me.
Let's say there's someone out there listening and they know someone that maybe isn't going down the right path, that isn't going down straight, isn't like maybe they're afraid of like what their future entails if they keep going down this route. What advice would you give them?
Well, that's a great question. And I like it because I've had it. And here's what. I got out of prison at 46 years old. 46 years old. They took $6 million. I have nothing, no money, a bad record. You look at my record, it's not good. I didn't have zero. And with hard work and determination, you're going to make a zillion mistakes. If you learn from them, you will change. And never, ever, ever give up. And stay away from negative people. They are a suck of energy that is just, I can't be around negative people, period. Can't be around them because I feel my energy leaving me. And they're crying about this, they're crying about that. Listen, I was in the hole for 3 years. Tough to make me cry anymore. Because whenever I have a bad day, I go, sure beats where I was. And that goes for food, shelter, everything. Even the air sucked it in. But don't give up. Always remember too, talk about an important story. I was in the hole and there was a man across from me. I'm in the hole now 11 straight months. I was going crazy. And I looked across the catty corner, the cells, the corner, and there was a man who was 50 years old. At the time, I was about 40 years old. And he had no legs. And the prison system let him piss himself, shit himself, didn't feed. And the lieutenant himself, and I know his name and I mentioned it in my book, came back up to me with a camera because he tried to help this guy and get him out of the prison, but the administration wouldn't do that. And he said, Lawton, because he knew I was writing senators, I'm writing people, and I wrote this in a major article that got me a lot of beatings. He said, Lawton, if anybody on the free world saw this, somebody in here would be in jail. Meaning, mention this thing in his own way, and I did. And it really set me back, tough things that happened. My friend killed himself. And that case always put me on the point of no matter where you are, no matter how bad you think it is, it's not as bad. It is always somebody else, wherever you are, that has it worse than you. And I am talking being in the worst of the worst. And you'd think I'm in the hole, pretty much malnutrition. I literally had a rope around my neck. And, things like that, maybe they're put in front of you for reasons. I'm not a religious man, but there's reasons for things. I think things happen for reasons. That incident showed me that I don't give a shit what happens. Trust me. You could drop me in Washington State naked, and I will come back here with a 3-piece suit in 3 days with money in my pocket because I'm going to survive. And I think people need to stop feeling bad for themselves. Pull up their pants, learn, work. And if you have that kind of attitude, you will find people. And the more people I run across, there's more people like me, successful ex-cons, with partners that cares about people because he's around me and he hears story. We talk a lot. And they're going to willing to help people. And when we get big with Cigar Larry, trust me, we're going to hire people who just have the right attitudes, the right place. Because you can teach anybody anything. But you can't find that attitude. You can't find that will. You can't find that drive. And stop. It's not over. 46. And talk about a bad record. So I'm not getting a job in a regular place. And it worked out. You know, so that is the difference. And I think that's a great question for your Buddycast question.
Love it. Thank you for that advice. Thank you for anyone out there listening who knows someone going down the wrong path or something knows, hey, it could be worse. To just advise them, it could be worse, you know?
Absolutely. And thank you very much for having me. Tell everybody, if you want to go to the Real Deal podcast and subscribe and my YouTube, I'd love that. And comment. I comment after every video. I always do it. And believe it or not, people go, wow, he really does. So we do that.
And Larry, I have 2 favors to ask you before we end the show.
Sure.
Number 1, stick around for a minute. We'll chat for a minute afterwards.
Okay.
But number 2,
yeah.
But number 2, whatever you do today, tomorrow, next week, next month, even next year, I want you to promise me you're going to go out and you're going to go be someone's buddy.
I guarantee that. And I love it and I will. And I'll guarantee it.
Absolutely. For my buddies out there, this is my buddy Larry Lawton. Please check out his YouTube channel. Check out all his social media. Please give him a follow. You won't regret it. He's got some great content on there. That's how I found him. I'm your host, Nick Sorensen. Thank you for joining us on another episode of everybody's favorite show.
Well, the days are going fast, buddy, we've got to make them last, buddy, before they've all gone past.